Hello, welcome back to the reading of the poem of the Man God written by Maribel Torta, Volume 4, Chapter 432, Part 2, Parable of Painted Wood. They come back after some time, and Jesus points at the garden ladder. Paint that. Paint makes wood impenetrable and preserves it longer, in addition to making it more beautiful. It is like the defense and ornament of virtues on a human heart. It may be rough, coarse, but as soon as virtues clothe it, it becomes beautiful and pleasant. See, to have a beautiful paint which serves its purpose, one must take care of many things. First of all, you have to choose carefully what is necessary to make it. That is a clean can free from mold and residues of old paints, good oils and good colors, and then you have to mix them patiently, working on them to make a liquid which is neither too thick nor too thin. And you must not tire working until the least clot is dissolved. When that is done, you have to take a brush, the bristles of which do not come off, and they must be neither too hard nor too soft. The brush is to be cleaned of any previous paint, and before applying the paint, you have to remove from the wood all roughness, the peelings of old paints, dirt, everything. And then neatly, with a steady hand and much patience, you spread the paint, working in the same direction all the time, because on the same board you meet different resistances. On knots, for instance, the paint remains smoother. That is true. But it does not cover them well, as if the wood rejected it. Vice versa, the paint sticks well on the soft parts of the wood, but the soft parts are generally not very smooth, and thus blisters or stripes form. One then must remedy the defect by spreading the paint with a steady hand. Then, in old pieces of furniture, there are new parts, like this rung, for instance, and in order not to show that the poor ladder has been botched, but is very old, one must get the new rung and the old rungs to be alike. There you are, like that. Jesus bent at the foot of the ladder is working and speaking at the same time. Thomas, who has left his burdens to come near Jesus and see, asks, "Why did you begin from the bottom and not the top? Would it not be better the other way around?" It would appear to be better, but is not, because the lower part is more worn out, and will wear out more because it rests on the ground. So you must paint it several times, a first coat, a second, and a third one if necessary, and not to waste time waiting for the lower part to dry and thus be ready for a new coat. You paint the top and then the central parts of the ladder. But in doing so, one might stain one's clothes and spoil what was painted previously. If you are careful, you do not stain your clothes and you do not spoil anything. See? This is how you do it. You gather your clothes and stand apart, not out of disgust for the paint, but not to spoil the paint, which, being fresh, is delicate. And Jesus, with his arms raised up, paints the top of the ladder. And he continues to speak. And you do the same with souls. At the beginning, I told you that paint is like the ornament of virtues on human hearts. It adorns and protects wood from woodworm, from rain, from the sun. Woe to the landlord who does not take care of painted fittings and allows them to deteriorate. When one sees that the wood is losing its paint, one must not waste time, but fresh paint is to be put on. Paints must be refreshed. Also virtues acquired in a first fit of enthusiasm towards justice may grow feeble or fade away completely if the landlord does not watch. And body and soul laid bare at the mercy of inclement weather and of parasites, that is, of passions and dissipations, can be attacked and lose the garment which adorns them, and end by being good only for the fire. Therefore, with regard both to ourselves and to those whom we love as our disciples, when we notice that the virtues which serve to defend our egos are being shattered or are fading away, we must provide at once with diligent, patient work until the end of our lives, so that we may go to sleep when we die, with body and soul worthy of a glorious resurrection. And in order to ensure that your virtues are true and good, you must begin with pure, courageous intentions, which remove all rubbish and mold. And you must work not to leave any imperfection in the building up of virtues. And then take an attitude which is neither too hard nor too lenient, because both intolerance and excessive indulgence are harmful. And the brush, your will, let it be free from pre-existent human inclinations, which might vein the spiritual hue with material disfigurements. And prepare yourselves or other people with suitable operations, which are laborious, it is true, but necessary, to cleanse the old ego from any ancient leprosy, so that it may be pure to receive virtue. Because you cannot mix what is new with what is old. You then begin to work in good order with consideration. You must not jump here and there without a good reason. You must not work a little in one direction and then a little in another. One would get less tired, that is true, but the paint would be uneven, as it happens in disorderly souls. They display perfect points, then close to them there are deformities, different shades. One must insist on the spots resisting the paint, on the knots, confusion of matter, or dissolute passions, which of course have been mortified by will, which like a plane has laboriously smoothed them. But they remain to offer resistance like a knot amputated, but not destroyed, and they deceive at times, as they appear to be well clad with virtue, whereas it is but a light veil which soon falls off. Beware of the knots of concupiscence. Ensure that virtue covers them over and over again, so that they may not flourish again, disfiguring the new ego. And cover the soft parts, which receive the paint too easily, but they do so to their own liking. If there are blisters and stripes, you must insist with isinglass, smoothing in order to give one or more coats of paint, so that such parts may become as glossy as hardened enamel. And watch that you do not overload. To exact too much from virtue makes the creature rebel, boil over and blister at the first impact. No, neither too much nor too little. Be fair when working on yourselves and on creatures made of flesh and soul. This has been a reading from the poem of the Man God, written by Maria Valtorta, Volume 4, Chapter 432, Part 2, Parable of Painted Wood. Thank you for listening. I will see you tomorrow. May God bless you, and may peace be with you.